All right. So, Mr. West, let's talk about AWG. What does AWG stand for and what is it again?
AWG stands for atmospheric water generator or atmospheric water generation.
All right. And the process of what we're talking about here, you describe it as pulling water from the air, which sounds completely fantastical. But what is it you're actually doing with this machine?
Absolutely that. What we learned in school about the hydrologic cycle.
Hmm.
Water's in the ocean, evaporates, goes up, hits the mountain, condenses at high altitude, and comes back down in rain. So it starts off as a liquid, turns into a gas, and comes back as a liquid solid again, a
Hmm.
liquid. And then at the polar ice caps, at the top of the world, we have ice. In the Antarctic, we have ice. At the tops of the mountains, we have ice, and that's water in a solid form.
Hmm.
Liquid, solid, gas. The only three ways that water exists on the earth.
And so the notion that you're pulling water out of the air, you actually are pulling the water out of the air because it's there. One of your interviews, you talked about the notion that someone says that we're running out of water, and you're like, no, we're literally walking around in it.
Absolutely. Uh, water in the atmosphere that exists around us each day is the water that exists in the purest state that we're ever going to have it. The water it can be the most contaminated place in India. The water can be full of chemicals, plastics, forever chemicals, sewage, anything. But
Hmm.
as soon as the water evaporates out and the H2O molecule leaves all those carcinogens and chemicals and plastics, it's back. It's like it's being reborn.
Hmm.
It's reborn in its purest form. That's the best analogy that I could give. And then that water comes back up in the atmosphere, goes up high into the sky, and travels all the way to another continent, condenses, and comes down as rain.
Gotcha. And
And so this machine, it basically is pulling that water out when it's in its pure state.
And so the notion that you just said there too, that it doesn't matter where the water originated on the ground in that process. And so it could be contaminated water that you wouldn't be able to drink, but because of it's being trapped, it's literally going somewhere else. So you're not even pulling down your own water essentially. But B, because of that process, it's being purified. So it is clean to drink it no matter what the ground conditions are.
Absolutely. Water is completely democratic.
Mm-hmm.
We share it. We share it equally all over the planet
Mm-hmm.
because what evaporates on one side of the planet comes to another side of the planet and comes down as snow. What comes down as snow on one part of the planet evaporates and goes to another part of the planet and comes down as rainfall during a monsoon season. Completely democratic. So this atmosphere that we have between the surface and 10,000 feet, which is called the troposphere,
Mm-hmm.
that's a superhighway of water
Gotcha.
for the planet.
All right, that's amazing. And so your machine, the AWG machine, talk to me about where you've deployed it and how this is functioning. And so because if we can get water from the air and the air is everywhere, feasibly we can have water everywhere on the planet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's not a place on the planet that doesn't have water in the air,
Hmm.
and there's not a technology that's out there that we haven't already invented within AWG Contracting, my company, that can either take it out in the coldest parts of the world or the driest parts of the world. We
Hmm.
figured out how to do it in every temperature range. So the notion of having no water on the earth it's not true.
Right.
We have water everywhere that we live.
And so can you talk to me about a couple of places that you've been and what you've seen on the ground and how the AWG machine has actually helped those communities out?
Absolutely. I can talk to what I do here in the United States,
Hmm.
but the military has deployed my machines to Okinawa, to Guam, to Hawaii,
Hmm.
to Africa, and I know what was going on with the machines and what they did in Okinawa and Guam because I could go there and visit
Gotcha.
and see. And Hawaii, I could go there. But the places where they deploy tactically, I can't go there. But they give me good reviews of the machines and what they were meant to do for the units that purchased them.
Hmm.
And so the missions I've gone on here in the United States are mainly missions of humanitarian missions. And how I do that is I do that with donations.
Hmm.
When people donate enough money, I can buy equipment for the machine. I can repair the machines. And then usually those machines are machines that I built for the United States military in the testing process to
Hmm.
show how it works. And so I take those machines back into the foundation and I deploy those machines to places that need water.
Okay.
Some of the places I've been,
Mm-hmm.
the first mission was to Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And we worked on the island of Vieques in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first place where we actually did something called net zero.
Mm.
We produced water 100% completely from sunlight using no diesel engines,
Oh
using
wow.
no fossil fuel.
So wait, so the machines themselves don't even need fuel to run. You've made them completely sustainable.
Right. When Hurricane Maria hit, the Tesla company, they had donated several first generation batteries.
Mm-hmm.
These batteries, they hold a tremendous amount of power. And so they had their first generation batteries there and some second generation batteries. And they had one at the hospital where we had the atmospheric water generator shipped to.
Mm-hmm.
It was a piece of federal property, so I'd be well protected with a military guard. And I met with their engineers, and we saw. I had to explain them what I had. They explained to me what they had, and the lights went off right away. The only thing we needed was a big enough electrical cable
Right.
because the machine uses 480 volts.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And
So we hooked it up, and we went net zero.
oh wow. And so talk to me about what were you able to provide to the folks that were there then in Puerto Rico?
We were able to supply on a really hot, humid day a maximum of 2,200 gallons a day. And then I got well, the machine makes 5,000 liters a day. That's 1,250 gallons.
Wow. Okay. All right.
So we basically supplied 15,000 people with all their drinking water needs.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the word got around, there's a ferry boat that goes between Vieques and mainland Puerto Rico, and people would actually come over in pickup trucks, pick up hundreds of gallons of water, and go back on the ferry boat
Oh
because they
wow.
were selling water. Clean water in Puerto Rico was going anywhere from $5 to $10 a gallon.
Oh my lord. And you're
Okay, that's
producing it for free.
we produced it for free, and we gave it away for free.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing we asked for was for donations to keep the operation going, and we asked for the military guard to stay. The
Mm-hmm.
military guard stayed and guarded the machine. And FEMA sent us 2 gallon water containers so that we made sure that everybody on the island got as many water containers as they could carry
Mm-hmm.
home. And so all they had to do was just come back each day, fill up their water containers, and go home.
Oh
They
wow.
did. They didn't have to hoard water at home.
Right.
So as long as they would see me there every day at the machine making water. It's really funny. One day, these people came up and they had a mattress on top of the car
Mm-hmm.
because I was sitting underneath the machine in a lawn chair, and they started to take the mattress off the car, and I said, "What's this for?" She goes, "Well, we see you every day, so we know you're sleeping in that little lawn chair."
Oh, that's amazing. That's
No, I'm
amazing.
not. I'm not sleeping in the lawn chair. I'm just sitting in the lawn chair because I'm here all day.
Oh, that's amazing. It's wild to think about the notion that you're making that much water that they're coming over on a ferry. I did a service trip a while back with one of the universities that I worked for, and there was an outgrowth, sort of an encampment of farmers who their farmland had issues, and so they were trying to move into the city. There wasn't enough physical land in the city for them to move into, so they had set up this encampment that were thousands of people on the outside of town, but there's no running water or electricity out there. And we were out there, and throughout the day, it was 2 or 3 times a day, this truck would come by with potable water. And you'd see these kids running around with the buckets and water bottles and all these things, chasing this truck that's just sort of sloshing water. And that was the only way that we're getting clean water. And I say clean in that it was potable water, so I don't know that it was actually clean water. But the notion that this is how they were surviving when it came to water. And you at the same time have this machine that they could have set up that's solar powered, so they don't have to worry about the electricity, that is making thousands and thousands of gallons of clean water a day. Why don't we see this everywhere?
Oh, I would have to say the reason that we don't see it everywhere is because the 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 absolute corruption in the system
Mm-hmm.
and the greed cannot get the greed cannot slow down enough to let you catch your breath.
Mm-hmm.
This is like you're swimming in an ocean, and the greed is like waves that keep just hitting you.
Yeah.
If you keep pushing you to the bottom, you come up, you get a breath, they push you back down.
Mm-hmm.
If people would just get out of the way of the technology and stop being so deviant, I have to tell you about a mission that we did in a place called Sand Branch, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So I met the people from the Shirley Chisholm Foundation. So they said, come out to Sand Branch, Texas. So I pulled one of the smaller machines together, went out there, and was set up on a property. And another big company actually came out there and wanted to set it was kind of like an ambush.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually came out there. They were actually going to set up at the property where I was. And this company is hence gone out of business. I'm still here,
There we go.
but they've gone out of business. One of the things that I've learned is that in business and anything that you do, you have to have integrity.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be honest. You have to be true to yourself. You have to believe in yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to be truly determined to not give up,
Yeah.
even in the face of all this.
Wow. And so, what happened there in Sand Branch then with this other company that comes in?
Well, Sandbranch was a very unique situation. I mean, their claim to fame in Sandbranch was that we are a community of former slaves, and this is our original land.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember one day I kind of had enough of that. And I looked at them and said, "Hey, you know what? You really don't have a corner on the former slave market there. You know."
Yeah.
I said, "There's a lot of that to go around." And it was something that many of the disenfranchised neighborhoods that I see today, they they have gone to a level that is so detrimental for human health
Mm-hmm.
that it's hard to get a foothold there.
Mm.
There's so much that's needed. It's there are places now that I won't go because they are just too dangerous.
Gotcha.
And it's not that the people in this that the people who live there or who were forced into this situation, it is not actually all it's not their fault.
Right.
It's been a system that has just continued to take away and degrade these areas to the point where it's devolved that far.
Yeah.
It's literally dangerous to be there.
And I know Sand Branch is what 15, 20 miles outside of Dallas, and they have I think to this day, still have no actual running water, but have never had running water in that town.
They have some well water,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
I've looked down at some of those wells, and I've got some videos out there that show some of that water coming out of the ground, and it's green.
Mm-hmm.
It's green. I wouldn't even shower in that water.
Well, I know online a couple articles that I read, public health officials have flat out said that the water in Sand Branch is just not safe at all. Like, don't drink it, don't use it, don't go near it. Like, it is not safe in any way, shape, or form for humans.
Oh, we have that all over Texas.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about the Permian Basin.
Mm-mm.
My goodness, we have places over there where they're doing fracking right now. People have died drinking the water in Texas.
Yeah.
Houses have been condemned in Texas and around the United States that are on well water
Mm-hmm.
because methane comes up from fracking. When you frack in an area,
Mm-hmm.
methane actually comes up, and houses and buildings are being condemned that are on well water because so much methane is coming out of the ground, the houses can explode.
Oh wow! I remember because we're here in Pennsylvania now, and I know that there was a documentary a while back. I think it was called Gasland or something, where they talked about the fracking here. So I know that that was an issue. I didn't realize it was that widespread. And so, what does the AWG machine offer these communities then? If they can't drink their groundwater and it's literally green, and the public health officials are saying they can't, and you come up with this machine, is this a sustainable long term thing that they can use? I mean, how is it that your machines are helping these communities?
What this machine does, this machine is basically it's a disrupting technology.
Hmm.
It's a revolutionary technology. This machine allows you to build a home, even in the state of Pennsylvania, to build a home without having to have a well
Hmm.
or have a city water connection
Hmm.
and produce your own water. You could produce enough water for your house to not only supply your entire house with water, but to farm your land with the water that you're producing out of the air. You know how when you drive around in Pennsylvania and there's this fog out there.
Hmm.
You go up the mountain and then you come down and then you can see and then all of a sudden you look above you and you're coming up through one of those valleys and there's this big cloud bank stuck on the side of the hill.
Hmm.
That's your easy water. And Pennsylvania's covered with that fog. When the machine is sitting out there, when it's sitting out there at the shop in Pennsylvania, even though the machine the water tank on it is 2,000 liters and is completely full, I'll tell everybody to come by and get water, and I'll turn it on just because it's so efficient to pull that water out of the air, and it's so pure
Hmm.
on those foggy days. So basically, what this technology does for a home is it takes it into the 21st century. You can you can go buy a piece of this land
Hmm.
where that's pristine and beautiful on the top. Rain is still going to come down and keep all the trees and everything green, but the groundwater is contaminated. It's too expensive to attach to a city utility,
Hmm.
and you can build this machine into the home the
Oh.
same way you build in the heating system,
Hmm.
a septic system, and a rainwater catchment system or a water utility system or bring power to the house. This this machine built into a home, custom built it to the size of the home. If you need 5,000 liters a day, 1,250 gallons, or 2,500 gallons a day,
Hmm.
I can design the machine for the area that you live to produce the amount of water that you need for that home. You can build a home anywhere. So when the land is going now for $2 an acre because there's no water,
You can build there.
go buy it. I'm telling everybody, go buy every bit of land that they frack the water and the land, they say the land is worthless because the water is contaminated. Go buy it. Because with this machine, you just brought it back up to its original market value price.
Wow. And wow. And so in a way, like it can literally save communities from that aspect, in that you don't have to leave this area, you don't have to leave where things have been blighted and ruined, because we can pull water back in, and so that you can save that community. How else do these machines, when deployed, help communities sort of stay and grow and be sustainable?
Gotcha. Flint, Michigan.
Hmm.
Okay. So I met when I was over in Puerto Rico. One of the residents that had some land in Puerto Rico. She came over. She visited. She met me in Flint. They did a video. This she goes, Moses, when you get a chance, if you ever, when you get back to the United States, please bring one of these machines to Flint, Michigan. And the military had already asked me, what would I do? And this was before Hurricane Maria hit.
Hmm.
I said, I would take one of these machines to Flint, Michigan. But Hurricane Maria hit, and so I can't be at two places at the same time.
Right.
And so when I got back, the contamination issues were going on. It took me a while to recover from the mission in Puerto Rico.
Hmm.
And I took a big machine to Flint, and I had all kinds of new ideas about how to do this with a foundation because of how I did it in Puerto Rico.
Hmm.
Because this had never been done before, taking an industrial atmospheric water generator to an area and providing water.
Right.
So this time I said community involvement. So this is how a machine operates in an inner city neighborhood in a crisis situation, such
Hmm.
as what's going on in California, or any water contamination issue. I brought the machine, dropped it off on a piece of private property, engaged everyone in the neighborhood, and said, I'm going to show you what this is. And you're going, because everybody was amazed because no one had seen one before.
Right.
Said, what this thing does, I explained it to everybody in a meeting before. I did anything. I said, this machine produces water out of the air, explained it to everyone, made sure everyone fully understood it. I said, we're not here to take anything from you. That's one of the questions. They said, what do you want? I
Mm-hmm.
said, I want nothing. I said, what people are doing outside of here is we're socializing, this debt, and we're privatizing the profit to you.
Mm-hmm.
This is your machine.
Okay.
And so they took ownership. And so when they understood it, we turned it on, water came out, the gangs went to truce, people in the neighborhood came out to work, people in the neighborhood came to deliver water to the elderly. They came to fill up the in the in the in the in the assisted care living facility. Everyone has their own 5-gallon water jug.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great picture that Latoya Ruby Frazier took, and it's on display whenever she displays pictures of the mission of Flint. And there's a pickup truck bed full of 5-gallon water jugs with tags on them. Each one of those 5-gallon water jugs is going to a senior citizen in an assisted care living facility.
Oh man.
That's their 5-gallon water supply.
Wow.
So we provided the Fourth Ward at Saginaw and Marengo,
Mm-hmm.
the entire neighborhood, with all of their drinking water needs.
Wow.
They did not have to drink any contaminated water while we were there. They,
Wow.
a woman came up one day, I'll never forget. She said, she goes, Moses, I need 500 gallons of water. I said, no problem. I said, but how can you carry 500 gallons? She goes, I'm going to come every day and I'm going to get a little bit every day. I said, no problem. Because sometimes we're making water, so many people keep coming and getting it, but as they're taking it, the water level keeps going up because it's always
Oh.
making it. You take it, it comes back up. And sometimes you have to tell people to hurry up and come get more because the machine is making water so fast out of the air.
Oh my Lord.
You can't run out.
That's wow.
And see, that's one of the things you got to get your head around with this technology.
Yeah.
So we're calling people, telling people from all sides of town, hurry up, get over here, get some water. It's got to fill up.
That's amazing.
So we gave her 500 gallons of water. She was homeless for 4 years because she couldn't clean her house. She was able to move back into her house.
Wow.
You can't clean your house with contaminated water.
No. Wow.
So she was able to move back into her house. She came back the last day she came and got water. She came back and she goes, I don't want to tell you what I was able to do. She goes, I've been homeless for 4 years because I couldn't move in my house because I couldn't clean the place.
Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
How did we get here? How do we get to a situation where we have these communities around the country that don't have access to clean water, and we're I don't understand. Like, it is the 2020s, and there are communities still to this day who don't have access to water. Yet you have this machine, and I'll get to the machine, but historically, like, how do we get to a point where we've let communities come this far in existence? But like, this woman is homeless. She owns a home. She just can't live there because the municipality, the city's water that's flowing into their neighborhood is so contaminated, she doesn't feel safe cleaning her house with it. So now she's effectively unhoused, even though she has a home. How do we get to this point?
I think everybody listening to our voices today, they have read and they fully understand all the things that we've done of how we zone chemical plants, how
Mm-hmm.
we zone sewage treatment plants, how we zone railroad track throughways, why we put highways through cities. Highways were the great dividers that would divide communities in half.
Mm-hmm.
People, and so this systematic racism that has designed the infrastructure of cities and the zoning of chemical plants and sewage treatment plants farmland where, especially if you look in the Carolinas where they do a lot of pig farming.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never been to a pig farm, you need to experience one at least once in your life. And they aerate the sewage. They spray it up in the air,
Mm-hmm.
and so the moisture comes off that, and the fumes come off of that, and it's just so toxic.
Oh.
So a lot of the places that the people where people live, the Flint situation was different because what they did was they stopped taking water. I think it was from Lake Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
and they started taking it from the Flint River. I saw the Flint River. I looked at the Flint River. You would not want to drink the Flint River.
Gotcha.
And so to save money, they were under some type of receivership. They had some appointed officials running the city, and they just tried to save some money.
Mm-hmm.
And it killed lots of people. They don't
Yeah.
talk about how many people died.
Yeah.
And this is how we got here. It's just been the systematic disenfranchisement of
Mm-hmm.
communities and racism.
Yeah, and so the notion of redlining, you talk about highways and railroads, and I know that a lot of communities, literally the other side of the tracks, came out of that era where they were using eminent domain to either remove African Americans out of communities or divide those communities, and literally that side of the tracks was the black side. I know, oh, what was the book called? It was a book called Savage Inequalities by Jonathan Cazal. I read in high school, and they talked about how cities with east in their name usually were downwind of like power plants or the sewage plants and things of that nature. So like East St. Louis is east of
Hmm.
St. Louis, but because of where it's literally physically located, everything ran off. But like a lot of African American cities are the east city of the main city, and that was an issue that they realized. And this was a book about education because it talked about these kids were having learning difficulties because the ground was literally radiated from a plant that was nearby, but then the water and all these other things as
Oh my
well.
God. Oh my. East Austin,
Yeah,
East Austin, East San Antonio,
yeah,
the East Side in San Antonio.
mm-hmm.
It was down by the slaughterhouses.
Yep.
Oh my. Yeah.
And yeah, but and so like historically, it was done intentionally, and so we're talking about the railroads and other things. So yeah, so and I'll have to find it for the audience to so I can verify. But yeah, but that was one of the things that when you think about cities and their layouts, east side of things were usually the African American side, and the west side was usually the white side, and in the
Yep.
middle was where all your industry was. So when you think about in the U.S. and America, when we think about the jet stream and all those things, the east is where usually everything runs off to. And so
Yeah.
I'm assuming from the look on your face, you've done a lot of work in East cities then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking about growing up in Texas and how I the reason I feel so strongly about this is because I was born here in the United States. I was
Mm-hmm.
born in Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
but I was raised in Germany.
Okay.
I was raised in Europe, and so when I came back to the United States in the mid '60s, when I came back to the United States, I was in utter shock,
Mm.
and I've stayed in a state of shock because my formative years were in a country that was completely devastated and destroyed from World War II. Um, but everybody was kind of working together. I didn't sense any type of racism
Mm-hmm.
when I was there until I came back to the United States. And then back in the United States, going down south, I could see the different sides of town. And this was before President Johnson's war on poverty.
Right. War and poverty.
The war on poverty.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the places where I've seen people live and the types of areas where they live. And still to this day, it still kind of exists and it's getting worse. But if you want to have the best example of this
Mm-hmm.
that I can tell your audience, all you have to do is drive from, say, Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah.
Drive from Mobile, Alabama on Interstate 10.
Yeah.
Drive that all the way down to Beaumont, Texas.
Okay.
To Beaumont, Texas. That place is called that's Chemical Alley. I guarantee you, you will have to stop your car at least 3 times to clean your eyes out. You will have to
Wow.
wash your nose out. You will have to wash your throat out because you can't even breathe that air today without near choking.
Wow. And that's where all the oil refineries are, aren't they?
Oil refinery. My God, I have when 20 years ago, I would have to stop my car 1 time.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I did that drive, I had to stop 3 times to clean my eyes out. And if
Wow.
you look at all those petrochemical plants that are, it's Cancer Alley.
Yeah.
Can, some of the terms I'm reading, I'm mentioning today,
Mm-hmm.
I hope your listeners look them up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chemical Alley, Cancer Alley. There's one in San Antonio, the south side of San Antonio,
Mm-hmm.
where the Hispanic people live. It's a cancer hotspot.
Oh my
At the
Lord.
end of at the end of the Vietnam War, we had a whole bunch of Agent Orange stacked up there.
Oh
And then
Lord.
when they said we couldn't use it anymore, it was at Kelly Air Force Base, and nobody knows where it went.
Oh my Lord.
We know where it went in San Antonio.
Wow. Wow.
So,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
so
Yeah.
I was at Clark Elementary in San Antonio giving a lecture to a class of kids, and they wanted to get enough money to purchase an atmospheric water generator for the school.
Mm-hmm.
And then the teachers were saying, well, what we could do is we're going to bottle some of the water and the kids could take it home with them. And I was like, okay, but use it for the hydroponic system here. And she goes, then I made a comment that made the teacher say, she goes, Moses, many of the people, they can't afford to go buy bottled water that live here. And she said, look out at the audience of the kids here. She said, half the kids in here have some type of cancer or some type of autoimmune deficiency because they've been drinking the water in that area. Half.
Oh my Lord.
There was kids there in wheelchairs on crutches. It was it was heartbreaking.
Wow. Okay. So outside of when you return from Germany and you see the conditions, what else is driving you? I mean, these stories are heart wrenching, and I understand that aspect. But what got you into this? Why water? Why did this become sort of your pillar that you're going to stand
I I lived in Australia for 11 years.
on? Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of history here. So in 2001, I moved to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I just said, I I came back to the United States for a couple of years. I was living in Sweden, came back to the United States, and then I was here and I didn't feel like I was fitting in.
Mm-hmm.
And so in 2001, I had some friends that I met in Europe that were from Australia, and so they said come visit. I went to visit for 30 days, came back, packed my house, and went and stayed for 11 years.
Oh wow.
And when I was there, I I saw true water shortage. I saw them purify the water at the sewage treatment plant and turn that water back around and put it into the drinking water. I came back in there one time after coming home to visit, and they said, Moses, don't drink the tap water right now. Says people are drinking it, but we don't want you to drink it because it's toilet to tap water.
Oh wow.
Don't worry, we're doing it here in the United States as well.
That doesn't
And
shock me.
so, when I heard that, I started looking at cistern systems.
Mm-hmm.
There's some great cistern systems over there. I had one under my house. All the water that I had in my home was, because I lived up in the Blue Mountains. It was from this cistern under my house.
Okay.
It was just rainwater. And then when I went to Hawaii, when I was coming back to the States, I had a next door neighbor. My girlfriend was having a little bit of beef with him. So I went out to make the peace with him, and he invited me into his house to show me this little machine that he had that made water out of the air in his home.
Yeah.
And that was in 2012.
Okay. Okay.
And I was just coming back from Australia. I'd only been out of Australia for a couple of months. I was living in Hawaii and getting ready to come back to the mainland. and I saw that machine in my neighbor's house.
Gotcha.
And the first thing I thought was, this is absolutely amazing. I've got to make a bigger one.
Yeah.
And I did. So the machine that I've got right now, Microsoft came to me and they said, hey, we want to test your machine against everybody else in the world. They tested my machine and it was duly noted by Microsoft that I have the most efficient water producing technology in the world.
Wow. Wow. That's
I'll send
amazing.
you a copy. I'll send you a copy of the report.
Yeah, no, I 100% believe you, but wow, that's amazing that it's the number one in the world. And
0.08 kilowatts to make a liter of water, and I can do it. I can do it with less energy than that now. The water that comes to your house takes 0.12 kilowatt hours to bring it to your house, and I can do it at 0.08.
wow, off solar energy.
Yeah.
Wow.
We could do it off a bunch of hamsters running around in a little wheel with a little generator on it.
So you've talked about, Hawaii and Texas and these very humid and warmer environments. Does it work everywhere? Are there temperature thresholds?
Yep. There are temperature thresholds, but there's ways to get around that. The way that we get around that, and there was a point in time where I didn't want to say all these things because people would take your ideas and run with them and do it. Uh, I'm finding that people don't really do that.
Yeah.
The people have become really, really lazy. So you could tell all your ideas, and it's just like nobody's going to make it because we don't have any industry to make it
That
anymore.
is very true.
So what you do is, okay, what are the two things we always need? We always need what? We need what? Food,
Food and water.
food or water. So these massive greenhouses, and I've told so many people this. There's people out there today that would be millionaires if they would have just taken this idea and ran with it. You get a greenhouse,
Mm-hmm.
one of those big 50,000 square foot greenhouses. You put an atmospheric water generator in the middle of it. I don't care if it's the middle of winter and it's snowing outside. The humidity is 80%.
Gotcha.
So you're in the greenhouse. You got solar energy coming through, radiating back up, keeping the temperature above 5 degrees,
Mm-hmm.
about 5 degrees Celsius. That's 45 Fahrenheit. So you want your greenhouse to be up in between the 60s and the lower 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And so the greenhouse is always going to have that temperature because greenhouses grow year round.
Right.
So you pull that air in from the outside, you condense that, you grow your plants. No forever chemicals, no microplastics, because you're taking it out of the purest source that's never touched the ground. You have absolutely pure, 100% organic food, 100% pure water, and you can do that from the Arctic to the Antarctic.
Wow.
That that is that's the keys to the kingdom. A greenhouse and atmospheric water generators, and you could be the sole source of all organic blueberries, strawberries, Forest City, all of the heirloom vegetables that a restaurant will want to use.
Oh
If
wow.
they did that on the south side of Chicago, the south side of Chicago would be selling millions of dollars worth of vegetables to all these fine restaurants in the city. The south side of Chicago would keep that money in the south side,
Right.
build the south side up, put that money into the school systems, buy guns back from people, use it as a STEM program in the school, and it's all based around water.
Why isn't that happening then? I mean, the technology exists. You're here. Why is this not happening?
I have never seen so many lazy people in all my life. I've never seen so many unimaginative people in all my life. I've never seen so many dishonest people in all my life. It in the 80s, as an officer in the military,
Mm-hmm.
all the way up until the 90s, people had a integrity. They had drive. They had determination. We didn't serve people monumental amounts of sugar and salt and strange chemicals that affect the way they think. Big kids not be able to sit down in the classroom. I've had so many university professors they've been my good friends for years.
Mm-hmm.
I call it my Bonavides. Whenever I need a PhD to back me up on something, I've got university professors. They're like, "Who are you?" I said, "Don't worry, I got some backup here." And we are we are we're slipping. We're slipping. So I just went to a convention in Arizona, and I sat on a panel, and I was surprised at how slow the American technology market moves outside of anything, outside of a cell phone, outside of a computer, outside of
Oh,
a medical device. If it's something designed to keep you sitting down and attached to a screen, it gets funded.
oh
But if
wow.
it's something designed to help um, alleviate some inner city stress or some toxic chemical that's even affecting the the middle class, upper middle class, there's nothing being done. And then the regulation to get an urban garden or to grow your food with get off of city water,
Mm,
people don't want to fight that.
right,
I did it in
right.
Texas, and I did it in Texas, and I won. In
Mm-hmm.
Texas, of all places, I think they were
Wow.
trying to. I think they were placating me. I think they were just like,
They
"Oh,
wanted you gone.
yeah." They were like, "Okay, yeah, you can go do this. You can do that. You can do." But then when I succeeded, they were just like, "Okay, well, let's." In Texas, if you own my machine and you do a 90-day pilot project in the state of Texas,
Mm-hmm.
I have the regulation. I own it. You can become a public water system and sell water.
Oh wow.
That's right. A 90-day pilot project by a board certified engineer. You have a water quality test in the beginning, the middle, and the end. Energy consumption, amount of water you put out, have 25 people drink it. At the end of that, the Texas Commission of Environmental Quality will sign you off. You are a water company sell,
Wow.
selling water. And nobody's done it.
Is it the cost of the machine is too prohibitive? Is how are people funding this?
Nah.
I'm confused.
The ROI on a machine is just incredible. How much does you can sell? You know there's people in California selling a gallon of water for $50. Some specialized, pure, kind of clean water. They have all these boutique waters out there. They have a water. They have a water competition for bottled water. There's people out there spending $100 for a bottle of water,
Wow.
and right now they're trucking water into New Mexico, trucking water into Arizona, trucking water into Texas, trucking water into North Carolina and South Carolina. I was in Nashville. I went down there with an atmospheric water generator.
Mm-hmm.
I checked into my poshy little hotel down there in Nashville. They gave me a Lowe's bucket to go scoop water out of the swimming pool to flush the toilet. I was paying almost $200 a night for that hotel.
Wow.
The water truck showed up in the back of the hotel, fills up a big water tank, and pumps it into the building. That water that they're putting into those buildings probably now is up to $2 a gallon.
Wow.
Every building in Nashville does that because all the water is contaminated. And
And so why won't
this
go ahead?
atmospheric water generator sitting out there, that building would be completely off of all that.
I guess that's my question. So why aren't municipalities in cities in places that have these issues stepping up to the bat? I mean, it sounds like you created a completely self-sustainable and self-reliant machine that
Hmm.
you could drop this into a community, and even if you don't turn profit with it, you no longer need to pay for water. You can provide water to your community that's safe, that's clean, that's always available. Yes, they have to come physically get it, but still, it's always available at this point. Like, why don't we see these in every city or at least every community?
Partly for the reasons I told you before, but also partly for the reasons in the United States. It's just like sometimes people see me talk and they can't get past seeing what they see. If they
Right.
did see me and they only heard my voice, I would probably go a lot further.
Gotcha.
And so it doesn't hurt anymore to know
Hmm.
that people don't like me because I'm black. It doesn't hurt anymore. It did when I was a little kid, and I say it doesn't now, but I'm sure it does something to me or to
Hmm.
us. I'm sure in some way it's going to shorten my life, but I don't feel any hate or animosity towards anybody.
Yeah.
But when you walk down the street and people lock their doors or run away from you, or you come into a meeting and you are the keynote guest speaker for the meeting, and someone puts their hand on your chest in the door and asks you, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah. Yep. I've had that one a few times.
I'm like, I'm the keynote speaker,
I'm
and they were
supposed to be here.
like, "Prove it." I've had that. I had to speak at a school in New York, a very private school, and I got stopped at the gate, and they got the full rundown, and the people were running from the they knew what I looked like, so they were
Yeah.
running from the administrative offices coming to make sure I don't get the beat down at the gate.
Wow. Wow. And you're just there to provide the future.
Education. Oh, I was,
Yeah.
but once you got in, it was absolutely fantastic experience. Some of the sharpest minds I have spoken with. These kids, they're not allowed to have cell phones, not until
Hmm.
they're 15 years old. They eat 3 meals a day. They eat everything organic. And the guy says this is a tough crowd, and so
Yeah.
all for all these reasons, that's why the technology is not advancing.
Gotcha.
It's advancing in
Um,
the military, though. I do fine with them.
well, that's what I was about to say. I want to talk a little bit about your background. So, a lot of the work you're doing, you say missions, or they're at different bases, and so you have a military background. Is that why it's easier for you to sort of work with them and go that route? You understand that system and that ecosystem.
Oh yeah, I understand that, and I understand what they want in the way of like mission capability.
Hmm.
Because being a former being a ranger, you're never former anything in the military. I understand what their needs are. So right now,
Hmm.
also with the military, I rebuild equipment for them as well.
Hmm.
So right now in Pennsylvania, bringing jobs to Pennsylvania in the way of repairing military equipment. And so right now we're getting ready to start repairing bigger vehicles, and
Yeah.
so that process is going on. But I do find it easier to work in an environment where people we have to be colorblind in the United States military.
Right.
All of our blood is red, and usually when we get in a hot situation, we're not. I am not thinking about the Constitution. I am not thinking about that I was born in Georgia and come from the United States. The only thing I'm thinking about in that moment is I'm thinking about my brother next to me on the left, my brother next to me on the right, and all three of us, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of us, getting out of this situation in one piece. Duty, honor, country. It's duty, honor to the people that are next to you.
Hmm.
And then that translates down today into working with the different command structures that I work with to
Hmm.
get my technology into the military and then to help them with issues that they have today.
Right.
Because now they're coming back to us older guys because if you got a little bit of spring in your knee still, I mean, they know that we work like nobody's business. So they're
Yeah.
looking us up again.
Okay.
We're not sitting around playing video games.
No, you're already trying to save the world with water.
Yeah, I'll still put on that backpack and go up that hill. I'm
There we go.
good.
So what's next? What's in the future? I know you have you're speaking at South by Southwest here in March. What's next for the Moses West Foundation, the AWG machines? Where are you taking this, or where are you looking to take this in the future?
Well, coming up, we're going to be at Howard University.
Mm-hmm.
They're having their 100th anniversary. That's coming up. And then I've been invited to sit on the panel at the Martin Luther King Library in D.C., in
Okay.
Washington, D.C. And then I'm going to take the machine on an educational road trip.
Mm-hmm.
Just sunk a bunch of money into the machine. So everybody, please donate to the Moses West Foundation, please.
I'll put it in the notes.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this. I need to take the machine on a road trip because I need to get younger minds involved in this.
Okay.
I need to get more people realizing what is out there, what we have available to save them, because
Mm-hmm.
they have forest fires now in the Carolinas. They still have water shortage issues there. So the people need to see more, as many people as possible. So we're going to
Mm-hmm.
just go around the country. We're going to stop at different places. We'll announce it on social media. We'll get people to come out,
Mm-hmm.
drink the water, and get to talk with myself and the engineers and the technicians about the machine, give them the complete walk around. I have actual windows on the sides of the machines,
Mm-hmm.
so you can look inside and actually see the water being produced.
Oh wow.
Oh, it's like a little thunderstorm inside the machine.
Yeah. Because really, you're just collecting condensation at the end of the day, correct?
Yes, but sometimes when you look
Yeah.
inside, it is actually raining in the machine.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, you can see it. Apollo has pictures of it. He should send you some pictures of that. It's pretty impressive.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So it really is an atmospheric machine because you're creating the atmosphere with inside of it.
When you stand there on some days and you know that sticky feel, humid feel, and the air's real still.
Yeah.
You look at the window and it's got the steam on it
Yeah.
from the condensation. You wipe that off and you look inside and it is just pouring down.
Wow.
And it, for me, I never ever get tired of standing there. Out of everything I've invented with that machine, everything I've done, all the electronics, all the different pumping systems, how it's generated,
Mm-hmm.
the airflow, the most exciting thing for me is to look in that window with my. You'll see me stand there in the middle of the night with my flashlight, looking in that window. I,
Oh, that's too funny.
I think it's the most amazing thing.
But it is. I mean, it's the ability. I mean, water is the one resource we all need, no matter where
Yeah.
you live on this planet. And the notion that you have a device that set up, turn it on, and just wait.
Oh yeah. And it's like Sometimes I'll be driving out of the gate, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll actually stop my car, walk back, and look in there one more time. And then I'll sit there and I'll hear a newscast talk about, well, in Arizona today, they're cutting back on how much water people can use. And I'm just like, hey, everybody, it's in the air.
Is it just the awareness? Is it the tour? You just need to get in front of people. Is that what it's going to take? Just. I mean, I granted, I get there's the government, there's the funding, there's all the other issues, but is it the kind of machine that once you get in front of people in the community, ideally someone's going to look at it and go, all right, we need to get this. And is that the purpose of the tour? Is just to get into the community so that, because you said you want young people involved, young minds. Is it if I can get out there and show you that I'm literally pulling water out of the air, I've given you the seed, you know where to find
Absolutely. And it's not just young people, old people as well.
me. Yeah.
But one thing we have here sometimes is that when I say that people are slow to move with the technology
Mm-hmm.
or to do something, we we have a serious problem in the United States, and I'm sure your audience they recognize it. There's school teachers here.
Mm-hmm.
We need to see all types of people out doing engineering work.
Mm-hmm.
We need to see we need to get the kids more engaged. We need to get them to think a little bit more critically. When
Mm-hmm.
you tell people that there's water in the air, people say, "How is there water in the air?" No one taught them liquid, solid, and gas. No one taught that they haven't had a good chemistry class. They
Yeah.
haven't had
Wow.
a good environmental science class. We are we are surely lacking in education in the United States.
Yeah.
We have one of the highest adult illiteracy rates in the world, and the highest functionally illiteracy rates
Wow.
in the world. I think it's 30% of U.S. adults are
Wow.
functionally illiterate, and so it's difficult. I don't think this is a very heady
Well, and
technology.
it's not because it's we know humidity exists. We know that there is a gaseous form of water. I made tea this morning for my child. I saw steam rise off of. So,
Yeah,
like, the notion that it's there, and then at the same time, I've seen a Coke commercial. I've seen condensation. So, like, it's not heady. In reality, it's just accepting what's in front of you.
right. Or having someone teach you. You remember the Kool-Aid guy that used to run
Yep.
around?
Yep. Oh yeah.
His whole smile, his whole face is condensation on a Kool-Aid canister.
That's yeah. And I think that and maybe and I don't know, and in my brain hearing the way you speak about it, yeah, it makes sense that it's not that there was water already on the outside of the canister. It's the temperature difference between the air on the outside and what's on the inside. And you're just collecting what's produced. And like again, I could not go into any of the other technical details behind it, but that just purely makes sense.
Yeah, it's a real. I can tell you in less than 15 seconds. You have a temperature, you have a dew point, and you have some humidity in the air. You calculate the humidity in the air, what the dew point is, and the
Hmm.
temperature, and that's where the temperature you keep the coils at a place where it's going to condense water
Gotcha.
at that temperature.
That makes sense.
And you do it mechanically, and then you control the CFM. You control the airflow over that. And I've
Hmm.
experimented with it over the years, and I found that if I pressurize air coming into a machine, I use turbines to do it, and my
Hmm.
evaporators are pretty good size. So you pressurize that. I create a couple of atmospheres inside the water generator. That air is forced in there, and those big coils.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to one day. I'm gonna get to a machine where you're gonna look inside and you're gonna see a tornado. You're gonna see a tornado. You might see a lightning strike, and it's just gonna be pouring water.
That's amazing.
I'm gonna be sitting out there with my staff just banging on the ground.
Oh, wow. Wow, your parents named you appropriately. They named you appropriately. Oh, that's amazing. So I guess that's where I want to sort of end and wrap up is let's say you go on you're out on the educational tour in these communities, there's a spark of something in your perfect world. What does the future look like with this technology in your perfect world?
Oh my goodness! A perfect world would be all these engineering universities around the United States today that they're putting on engineers, and sometimes our best engineers and best mathematicians go work on Wall Street. We have
Yeah.
physicists working in Wall Street. The the planet is right now. We're at a place where there's a lot of things happening all at the same time. But the one thing that everyone is not really concentrating on is that
Hmm.
we're at the limits. We're at the limits of food. We're at the limits of water. We're at the limits of what's in the ocean to eat. We're
Hmm.
at the limits of how much temperature
Right.
we can how much heat we can exhaust into the atmosphere anymore. We're at the limits to how much more force we can cut down because we're
Right.
killing the lungs of the planet. And then we have all these different political things happening. Then we have these masses of population moving from one place to another. So we have all of these things happening at the same time. But the little shiny baubles, the little baseballs that get thrown at
Hmm.
you every day is what people are concentrating on.
Right.
The thing that's going to get us, and in my perfect world, what I would want to get off this on my tour
Yeah.
is to get people off those and to start thinking about what we need to do in the future. When I'm dead and when I'm gone, you're going to need to have to eat and drink on a hostile planet
Yeah.
that is trying. We have species dying off every day.
Yeah.
We're losing species all the time. And what people fail to realize, we are a species on this planet as well. And with this technology, what I would like to do is to get those kids to understand that what you're seeing today is what you're going to need 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now when I am no longer here. So maybe I'll hit a few kids and they'll remember that, and that's good enough for me.
Hey, there it is. All right. Well, Moses, I want to thank you for the time today. How, if folks want to reach out to you, they want to get a hold of the foundation. They want you to bring it to them and show them, the proof in person. How do they go about doing that?
Oh, just get in contact with Apollo Mondes here,
Mm-hmm.
and the machine is right there in Pennsylvania. It's right
Mm-hmm.
there at Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Duryea. It's right there, sitting at the shop. Everything's been redone. You'll see it. It's beautiful, and
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. That's why you got to donate. And it's getting ready to go on the road trip. So yeah, what we'll do is one of these good days, just set it up with your audience, and
Yeah.
I'm more than happy for everybody to come out and
Yeah.
take a couple 100 gallons.
Don't worry. I got to get with Apollo. I'm definitely going to come see it myself and get some footage for it. So, and we'll share that with the Patreon folks. And so, I want to thank you, Moses, again for today. This has been an eye-opening and a really thought-provoking conversation around the idea of water and access to water, but and the notion that when we talk about access to water, we're always thinking about the ground, and that in reality, we're walking through the solution right there, and that you found this way. Well, you were introduced to this way, and you've modernized it and made this way for people to be able to go out and capture and legitimately take care of themselves in a very sustainable and self-reliable way. I thank you again for your time. This is amazing. For all my listeners, again, I will link below how to get a hold of Moses and Apollo. If you are in the Northeast and you want to come see it, apparently the invitation is open. So thank you again, Moses. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, and thank you, everybody out there. Take care.